Hello, everybody. This is the Roman Bloke podcast. So last Sunday, like the it's been a long time. Okay, I promised that I will do this podcast every Sunday. Obviously, I know no one's watching, so I'm like no one's waiting for me. I wasn't that excited to do this podcast either. So hopefully, I will be able to do this podcast every Sunday from now on. But I'm doing this Sunday. Okay, so give me a break. Okay, if anyone's watching, thank you for watching. But I'm just gonna keep hammering these podcasts now because consistency is key to some extent, so I gotta do them every Sunday. I thought I'll be able to do it more than every Sunday. I'll just do it out of surprise, but no. Even every Sunday is difficult for me for some reason. I'm just lazy. So, it isn't really a specific topic. My podcast don't have specific topics. So, but today's podcast is actually specific. So, like today I was reading about like someone complaining about the school system in America. Okay, which I mean the complaints are genuine and they're right, but I have like a different opinion on the school system. So hear me out, okay? So people keep talking about and keep complaining about how the American school system does not prepare the kids for the real world, and they need to improve the school system, right? Okay. When you hear these people, maybe you're included in them. Why don't you like hear yourself, okay? When you hear these people talk about how they have to improve the school system, okay, their demands are like very high for the school system, and they expect almost the school to do almost everything and teach the kids almost everything. It's almost like homeschooling. I'm not for homeschooling, remember that, okay? I don't like homeschooling, but it's almost like homeschooling to some homeschooling your kids to some extent is like non-existent to these parents. Like you have to homeschool your kids, even if by homeschooling I mean teaching them stuff at home, okay? You have to teach your kids stuff at home even when they are going to school, okay? If you listen to your demands from school, okay, your demands are so high and you're asking the school to do so much that those demands are like impossible for the school to fulfill in these years, okay, in these 10 years. Okay, let's say in a hypothetical scenario, the American school system does reach the point where your demands are met, okay? That is only going to happen by incremental improvements in the school system. So let me guess, okay? It's going to take at least 100 years. So forget about like you or your kids or your grandkids. Maybe more like 150 to 200 years to reach your demands, in my opinion, okay? It's going to take that much time. So your kids are not going to get that education that you want them to get, okay? Or education by education I mean everything, open-ended, right? So, and maybe your grandkids would get half of it, not everything that you want, okay? So, as I'm saying, like, yeah, so you need to stop, like, listen, you need to stop blaming the school system for almost everything, okay? You gotta be self-sufficient somewhere, okay? All that practical shit that you complain about that your kids don't know, to be honest, you don't know those things either that well yourself, okay? But if you do know those things, okay, rather than asking the school to teach your kids to how to do that, okay, sewing, woodwork, and all that stuff, okay, you're asking for that type of stuff too, right? Why don't you teach your kids to do that? Let's say you don't know it, okay? Another hypothetical scenario, okay? A lot of people actually don't know how to do that shit. So there's YouTube, buddy. You can learn almost anything from YouTube, and you can apply it yourself, learn it yourself, and then teach your kids, okay? You learn something yourself, then you teach your kids something yourself, and the best part is this is a self-learning and a bonding process among you and your kids, right? Listen, here's an example. Here's the best example of why YouTube is the best thing for this, okay? I learned how to build my PC on YouTube, okay? Like some people are intimidated by building PC, so they just give someone else money. Okay, listen, don't buy the most expensive PC for the first time, okay? Just buy a mid-range PC. Like, don't buy a mid-range PC, okay? Buy mid-range parts, learn stuff on YouTube, and build one yourself, okay? The computer you're gonna build yourself, you're gonna be able to troubleshoot that PC when it gets a problem yourself, because you built that PC yourself and you'll know everything about it, okay? Here's another weird example, okay? I learned how to disassemble and assemble back both rifle platforms, AK and AR. I've only touched an AK, I've never touched an AR, but hey, listen. I know how to disassemble and assemble these platforms easily. Not as much as the guy who has had hands-on experience, but I do have an idea if you give me that weapon system, okay. Soon I'm gonna start learning woodwork. Like I just said, you can learn woodwork from YouTube, okay. Stop being an entitled piece of shit. That's the easiest way to say it, okay. Even, let's say, okay, here's another scenario, right? Even if school gives you everything that you want in the next 5 to 10 years, it's gonna take more time away from you and your kids, and it's gonna keep the kids at the school a lot longer, okay? It's not gonna give the kids free time to think for themselves and do something that they're interested in, which is off topic from everything that school teaches, right? And that's keeping kids in school for a lot longer. If you love your kids, it's not a good thing, okay? You don't want that to happen to them, okay? Now, here's some other, like, now the last segment, okay, of this podcast is that here's some practical shit you should know and you should teach your own kids, okay? I'm just gonna talk about in reference to USA, okay, because they have like the easiest statistics, or like they worry about that shit. They're officials, okay. Okay, there's a house fire death occurs every 3 hours, 10 minutes in the US. A house fire death, okay, death, and a house fire injury occurs every 43 minutes in the USA. I'll actually link down the maybe I'll link it if I find it once again, okay. I researched it on Google, and some fire department website said this, okay. It was their data. However you pronounce that word, okay. Now, do you have a fire extinguisher near your bedroom and kitchen? Do you? For the majority of the part, people don't. And for the people who do actually own a gun, okay, there's a high likelihood of you encountering a fire in your house rather than you being in a firefight in your fucking house. Do you know that? If you're so, like, people who own guns and are in that world, you know why you have that gun, okay? Then why don't you have a fucking fire extinguisher in your house, okay? Why don't you have that, okay? It's about being prepared for the bad shit, right? Why don't you have a fire extinguisher, okay? Huh? Now, at least you should have a fire extinguisher in your bedroom and kitchen. I don't know. I read this on Google too. There's like 48% or like 48 fires. I don't know percent or 48 fires. Okay, start in the fucking kitchen. You have to have a fire extinguisher, especially in your kitchen. Now, let's say even if you do have that fire extinguisher, okay, and you know how to use it, does every single family member in your house know how to use that fire extinguisher? I don't think they do. Okay, because you didn't never taught them. Okay. Like I said before, you have to be self-reliant, okay? You have to teach your kids to be self-reliant. School is not gonna teach them how to use a fire fucking extinguisher, okay? You gotta teach the shit to them yourselves, okay? And all you people keep fucking complaining about how school is, like, not teaching the kids proper stuff. Why don't you take, like, you're a grown adult, okay? And you're complaining how the school isn't teaching your kids all the proper stuff. You know how to make a check, right? Write a check, sorry. You know how to do the loan shit. You've been through some of the stuff. Why don't you sit down with your fucking kid and tell him all that shit, okay? And he would know that's important, okay? And you're his parent. You know how to talk to that kid. Hopefully, okay? Okay? Take matters in your own hands. Stop fucking complaining all the time, okay? If you know this shit is this important, then why aren't you learning it? Or if you already know it, why aren't you teaching it to your kids, okay? Listen, last thing, okay? One last thing about fires again, but this is something specific about fires, okay? This is the last thing I would add. Do you, or even if your kid knows, okay? Do you know how to deal with an electrical fire? Do you know that? Look that shit up on Google. If you already know that, teach your kids how to deal with specific type of fires, okay? Especially electrical fire. Please, for fuck's sake. If you don't have the time to teach anything, okay, just tell your kid one thing. For fuck's sake, don't throw water on electrical fire, okay? Don't do that. There are people dumb enough, like I don't have an example in my head right now, okay? Is there an example? I'm thinking about one. There are people dumb enough who have used a claymore the wrong way, or done something stupid with a claymore in the US Army, that the US Army actually has to fucking write on the claymore that you're not supposed to eat the claymore and which side is the front one, okay? I mean, maybe the front and left backward thing might be important, but like, you don't, there are people dumb enough to eat a fucking claymore. Okay, there might be a lot of backstory to this. Maybe the soldier might be extremely hungry, and he looked at the claymore and thought, hey, maybe there's something to eat in this fucking thing. Okay, I don't know the complete backstory. So, moving on. Okay, teach your kid how to deal with an electrical fire, especially with an electrical fire. Look that shit up on Google. It's a lot easier than you think. Okay, and that's about it. Thank you for listening to my bullshit for 10 minutes. I'm thinking this podcast is a lot longer than I thought. I was only going to make a podcast for 5 minutes. Anyways, thank you for listening to my bullshit. Bye.